they're quick guys. Like it's not an Ethan Greek goal, but I think he's quite handy.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We won't argue.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, and that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the start of qualifying for round 1 of season 5 of the Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 series. I'm John Van Ree. With me tonight, got my co-host Mark Duggan. Welcome to Ocherleben in Germany for 2 80-kilometre races. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, John. Good to be back. Good to see you pronounce the name of the track that probably half the people can't pronounce. But yeah, looking forward to getting stuck back into some solid racing with the East Coast Series.
Yeah, going to be an absolute cracking track to race at. We might quickly jump on the track map here and have a quick look. So we start on the start-finish straight. We go down into the unnamed corner doing through turn 1. And then we sweep through the big turn 2 through Hotel into Hasheroda. Hasheroda, we go through the triple apex corner down into the backside of the hotel. And then we come back down through the fast chicane into McDonald's, down the long back straightaway into the Shell curve, into the Yaman curve, and then down another little straightaway into the Brewer curve. And then we finish off on the last turn on the Zeppelin curve and back round through the straight. This track is fast. It's hard to overtake. It's only 3.7 kilometres long with 14 turns. And we've got 50 plus cars out there tonight. This is going to be an epic battle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. Did this track last week with Vets, and it's a very, very difficult track to overtake. So qualifying will be absolutely critical tonight.
Absolutely. It is not the easiest track to race on, speaking from personal experience. But if you can get it right, it's very rewarding. So,
yeah, certainly a lot of fun to drive around this track. It's quite challenging in the supercar, but yeah, it's just one of them places where even if you put the car in all the right spots, it's still difficult to get the move done without causing an incident. So the interesting 20 minutes coming up, or we've got 16 minutes left of qualifying.
Absolutely, and so the first time's come in from Scotty Gamble from Evolution Racing Team. One of the new guys into the series. A lot of new names in this competition for season 5. James Scott, of course, is back again from Synergy Sim Racing. But Scott Gamble and Robbie Briggs from ERT, some of the new fellas. And we also have a couple of other new names. We've got Peaky Performance Racing being represented by Chris Funky Miller and excuse me, and Scotty Van Loon, who's not with us. We'll talk about him a bit later on. And we've also got some other entries. We've got some of the Phoenix Racing boys have signed up this season. And we've got some new names from bouncing around, like the likes of Brody Baldwin's now signed up with Synergy Sim Racing. So there's quite a few changes, as the old Send It Sim Sports boys have all found new homes, with Hayden Harrison now at the 9.5ers. So a lot of changes to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a quick look at Hayden Harrison in the 9.5 Sim Sport Commodore there, and yeah, it's a very nice looking paint job on his car. So glad Hayden's been able to find a good home, because they're a great team, and he's in amongst some good drivers there.
Oh, absolutely. And sitting 6th up on the board at the moment, so off to a reasonable start with all of that. Looking forward to seeing how he performs with the new home. So there's quite a few new names in the series. We'll try and get across them all as we get going here. As the guys all come in here for their first stop, as they work out what they're all doing. But at the moment, we've got James Scott leading on top. Blake Warboys bouncing up into second. Great result there for Blake. At the moment, with his first run, of course, these guys have only got 20 minutes. It's an all-in 50-car shootout here. So getting a gap on track ain't going to be the easiest thing. And I reckon race control will be busy.
Yeah, absolutely, John. It's very tough to find some space on a track like this where you're not impeding or not being impeded. So the boys will be juggling everything they can to find some space and get a good lap in.
Yeah, plenty of guys ducking into the pits now at the moment. And come back through. Jamie Mashudo, another one of the new guys in the series as well, and quite well known as a quick driver.
Yeah, Jamie's a great driver. I think he's teamed up with Ben Morris, and them boys. Ben had a pretty solid season last season, shown some good speed at a lot of races. So, and Jamie's a great driver in his own right. So, looking forward to see how they go.
Of course, another guy we got with us is Michael Stewart from Hypersonic Racing. And Michael, of course, quite well known amongst the vets community. And looking forward to seeing how he goes in this field. Of course, Michael running the webcam for us tonight. So he'll be able to jump on and see how Stewie gets on.
Yeah, Michael, champion bloke. He's well known within the vets community, and he's been driving really well in the vets races. He's just one of them drivers that just needs an ounce of luck to get a result. He's shown plenty of good speed, and he just hasn't been able to get a result he deserves. He seems to be caught up in other people's incidents, or somebody gives him a nudge from behind and ruins his race. So looking forward to seeing Michael, and shout out to Brenton Hobson, our current series champion from last season. His car's looking absolutely sensational as well.
Yes, running the Thunder Fluoro green on the livery there. And running the number one, which is another interesting debate amongst people. Do you run number one or do you stick with your race number? But Hobbo's gone with the number one, so of course the only other person to race number one in our series was Blake Warboys.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do, run the number one plate if you're the current series champion. It's can only go to one driver, and you don't often get to run that plate. So I think, like if you do win the series, you should consider strongly about running that plate, and I'm glad to see Hobbo's done that.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're saying, it's a privilege to do it, so it's great to see him doing it.
Yeah, Hobbo's always leading by example, and yeah, it's fantastic. He's back in with us this season as the current champion, and I think we'll see him, contending again this season. He really knows how to put a championship together.
Absolutely, a quality driver and a quality team. But as we were saying before, plenty of contenders. And it's going to be see how they all go. So at the moment, as we get to about the halfway mark here in quali, we've still got James Scott, Warboys, Gamble, Hobson, Angus, Gibbs, Hayden Harrison, Jamie Dyke, Troy Maguire and Paul Young rounding out our top 10. So some cracking start there. Big shout out to Steve Murray, who's jumped into the chat as well. One of our regular supporters. Of course, a lot of these names have signed up for the Logitech G Pro qualifying series, which kicks off in a couple of weeks' time with the pre-qual. I think they've got 100 drivers they've got to narrow down into 45. So I think all these boys will be itching to have a good result here and boost their confidence with a bit of track time.
I'm just looking at my track map, and it's looking pretty busy out there. They've been pretty good, these boys. They've given each other some space, so it looks like everybody's doing a pretty commendable job at the moment.
Not easy, but it's kind of a track that's not really long enough where the draft's going to be key to get you over the line.
No, absolutely, and you can see in the lap times on how close they are. That with the track this length and this twisty, there's not a big gap between the fastest and the 20th fastest. It's minimal time. So if you can bank a solid lap here, you'll end up with a great grid start. So, and that's, as we said, that's key to getting a good race result tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean McNamara in the chat as well, so big shout out to Sean. Another driver missing from the field tonight.
Yeah, shout out to Sean. He's probably taken all his time to get up to speed in vets. He's struggling with his first podium in his first race. So, yeah, like Sean's a quality driver and a great guy, and it's good to see he's got a good team in the field with us tonight, and looking forward to when Sean does get out on track and race with us here at the East Coast Series.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be cracking to see what he can do in vets as well. It's a fairly, what's the word I'm going to say? It's a fairly tough looking top pointy end of the grid there.
Yeah, I'd still like to see his birth certificate.
Yeah, I think we need to take some hair for some sampling. Anyway, the boys are still ticking on. James Scott still on top. War Boys in 2. Robbie Gibbs has jumped up into P3. And Hayden Harrison's jumped up as well. Pushing Gamble back down to 5. The champ in 6th. Angus in 7. Dyke 8. Damien Johnstone's jumped up into 9th as well. And 10th is Jamie Mashudo. So definitely plenty of action going on. See if we can jump on with James Scott here for a second as he comes across the line. As you can see, it's a very tough little circuit, sort of coming back down into doing. Kind of got to feather it through, then pull it up into turn 2. Oh, a little bit wide there, a little bit of out of control. Gets it back in. Heading down, and he's giving this one away, I think, letting someone pass. Come down into a hotel. Yep, let's give this one away. We'll jump off.
Yeah, I found this track when we did it in vets. It's hard to get a good rhythm going around here because it feels like you're never quite on the same line lap after lap, but still a good fun track to drive, that's for sure.
Oh, car 77 and 919 have both been given pit lane starts for towing without permission, so that's quite interesting. So 77 is Scotty McCune, which is very unlike Scotty, and 919, I've got to tick through my list, is Michael Stewart. So both of the Hypersonic boys been called out there. And
yeah, they're probably a bit used to the vets rules and not the East Coast rules there. I'm sure that will be the last time they do that.
And Kenny Ladder's just been pinged for impeding cars 43 and 08. So a bit of activity already for race control. And an unsafe rejoin in there as well. So I didn't see who that was. So definitely a lot happening already before old Seb.
Yeah, keeping Seb busy early on in the piece, and it's going to be an interesting race start here as well. As we're counting down to just over 5 minutes to go. The first couple of corners is probably not conducive to V8 supercar racing with 50-some cars in the field, but should be interesting for us spectating and commentating.
It is when they're all behind you. Just saying. From experience. But no, turn 1 and 2 definitely will cause some angst, particularly in this group. This group like to fight hard for their spaces. And turn 3 can be another one that's quite difficult.
Yeah, turn 2, yeah, caused me some angst, I will admit, on Thursday night, but that's long forgotten.
Yeah, definitely all happening here. As we sit on with Robbie Gibbs.
Connor Nixon's requested a tow. He was stuck in the wall somewhere, but he's because he's requested it, he can keep his qualifying position, but he can't participate in qualifying any longer.
So Connor at the moment sitting back in 14th position there, so it's still not too bad of a start.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid job there from Connor. He's fairly new to our series. I think he might have raced with us a couple of races last year, and yeah, Connor's a good young driver, and yeah, sitting in 14th in this field is pretty tidy.
Yeah, I'd be pretty happy with that. Of course, tonight we've got two 80-kilometre sprint races. The boys have to make one pit stop in either race and take a minimum of 2 tyres. So if you can get that reasonable position on the grid here and have a good run on that first race, safety car comes out, you set yourself up beautifully. So, boys still battling away. We've still got Scott, Warboys, Gibbs on top of the order here. Hobson sitting back in 6th. Paul Young, the big mover, gets himself up into 11th with Jamie Dyke into 10th now. A couple of big names sitting further down the bottom of the order still, though. So, still waiting for a few of these boys to pop up and see what they can do. Which will make it quite interesting.
Yeah, pressure's on now. 2.5 minutes to go. Not a lot of time to find some space and get a lap in. So whoever wants to make a name for himself, now's the time.
Absolutely. Interesting to see what these lads can do. Just keeping an eye on here. It looks like Scott Warboys are going to park her in the pits. Gibbs is out there still on an outlap. So Hayden Harrison's bumped himself up a little bit higher, as we said before. Hobson's still in 6th, so he's got to keep an eye on a few of these boys. It'll be interesting to see what Gibbs can do. Of course, one of the Evolution Racing Team guys. Pete Kelleher's in the chat as well, supporting SSR. A big shout out to Pete. Of course, if you are in the chat on YouTube or Facebook, let us know who you're supporting. We'll try and keep an eye on them tonight for you. As we're now down into the last minute. About to see what Robert Gibbs can do. So, just going to get over the line in time. Get himself started. So let's jump on board and have a look at Robert Gibbs, the man currently sitting in P3. Let's see if he can take this a bit higher. Nice run into turn 2 there. Nicely rides the power, gets on it nicely. Down into turn 3. Gets on the gas nicely. Oh, 20 up, you're done. So he's not going to get a roll. I think because we're running heat racing, he's in trouble there. So we might just quickly have a straight up look at the grid as we get rolling here. And of course, my overlay didn't work, so that's all right. We've got James Scott on pole with Blake Warboys sharing the front row. Robert Gibbs from ERT in 3rd. Hayden Harrison sitting in 4th from 9.5 Sim Sports. Scotty Mack's got to be pretty happy with him sitting there. And then after that, we have Scotty Gamble from ERT in 5th We have the champ, Brenton Hobson in 6th, Thomas Freeman in 7th, Michael Angus in 8th. Great result for Michael. Ben Morris in 9th, Jamie Dyke in 10th, Paul Young from BAR in 11th in front of teammate James Chastanuth. Awesome effort there from Youngie. Followed by that, we've got Damien Johnstone in 13th, James Mashudo in 14th, 15th, Connor Nixon, 16th. We have Troy Maguire, 17, Michael Whiting, 18, Blake Delaney, 19, we have Michael Stewart from Hypersonic Racing, Christian Smart in 20th, Dave Kirby from Fishy Motorsports in 21st, Kenny Latta from SSR in 22nd, Brady Baldwin, he's from SSR now in 23rd, Simon Chadwick from 95 Sim Sports in 24th. Keep rolling back, Zach McDonald from 95 Sim Sports in 25th, Scotty McCune 26th, Matty Stewart in 27 from 19 MX Raps Racing. The Doctor, Paul Warwick, back in 28th from Fishy. Tim Mulford from Phoenix Motorsports, Phoenix Racing Team in 29th, ahead of Warren Davis, ahead of Dave Coleman. And then we have Luke Holland and Warren Davis. Jamie McKnight all the way back in 33rd, but the People's Champion will fight hard from there. Then in 34th, we have Craig Schultz from 95 Sim Sports, Hayden Harrison in 35th, Matty Whitaker in 36th. It's a big field. And then we've got in 37th, Funky Miller from Quantum Pecky Performance Racing. And then in 38th, we've got Roy Clark from Bentra Alliance in front of the young Ty Delaney. You'll be one to watch out for. That young kid is quick. Dylan Thomas from Fishy Motorsports in 40th. Muradness, Brian Kerr in 41st. His first outing for WK&P Sim Sports. Luke Power in 42nd. In front of Sebastian, who is our race control. Leith McClement from Valve Motorsports is in 44th. Richie Barella is our safety car in a Kia, which we'll talk about later if the safety car comes out.
Yeah, I was surprised I had to update my iRacing for the Kia, but anyway, we'll find out more as that's revealed later on.
Yes, as we have a look at the boys here sitting on the grid, we won't be too far away from going, I think. The James Scott War Boys. It's a tough one, this one. War Boys gets a good jump, will be on the inside against hung out on the outside of turn 2. So, as Mark said earlier, it's a tough track to start on. So, good luck to all of our guys. Welcome to round 1, race 1. 2 races tonight. Where you finish this one sets you up for the next one. As engines are revving up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Lights are out. We are away. Looks like there's a car, one of the Phase 4 boys out the back there. Not sure what's happened. But we're continuing on. James Scott's got a good jump. Gibbs has done really well in there. Gibbs and War Boys, toe to toe, going through turn 2. Looks like James Mashudo was the one we saw spinning out the back earlier, but looks like we've got a reasonably good start here at the front of the pack.
Yeah, James Scott finally got a good launch. He had a bit of trouble last year, got a great launch. Gibbs is doing an epic job there in second place. He muscles his way up past Blake there early on. Jamie Machado, I'm not sure what happened there. I just seen him flicking sideways across the track. I don't know if that was when he dropped the clutch or whether he got a helping hand, but we'll find out a little bit more about that.
As the boys head out the back now as they go through Macca's. Or McDonald's, as it's called. Head down to Shell Curve now. Nice little straightaway here. Of course, the entry to Shell Curve's still quite high, 4th gear corner, so it's not a passing opportunity. It looks like we're having a relatively clean start here, this first lap of 22 laps. I hope I haven't jinxed anyone, but these boys doing reasonably well. I think I've only seen Craig Schultz is the only guy that's been off track with Matty Whitaker, sorry. Got Schultz on the radio, so we might just quickly jump and have a look and see what happened to Craig on the Supercheap Auto replay. Well, a little bit of contact there from what appeared to be one of the Banter Alliance guys on the inside. So we'll leave that one for the stewards to have a chat about. But James Scott off to a reasonable jump, holding out Robert Gibbs. Blake Warboy sitting back in 3rd.
Yeah, James doing a good job, but I've got to say Robert Gibbs is doing an absolute epic job putting the pressure on James at the moment. We didn't see much of this last season. Once James got his nose in front, he was really able to drive away, but Robert's doing a really good job and keeping him well within sight and well within touching distance if he gets to make a move if James makes a mistake.
Absolutely. This has been a great start for Gibbs, of course, using the Logitech G Pro Series equipment. Definitely some gear that I can recommend.
A proven gear for race winners, I hear, John.
Yeah, you could say that. The 1000 hertz true force feedback that you get into the wheel, as well as the direct drive, just changes the game a little bit. Robert definitely keeping the pressure on James here, which is great to see.
Yeah, Blake's not letting him go either. Blake's gone with him, so these three are just edged out a little bit of a gap at the moment. We see Hobbo putting a bit of pressure on Hayden Harrison back there, but Hayden's sitting in 4th place in his debut, I think, for 9.5 Sim Sport in this series, and doing a wonderful job. So good to see Hayden out there representing the 9.5 boys.
Absolutely, and another great looking livery there from the Maccas lads, from the 9.5ers.
Yeah, I'll give a quick shout out to Ross at RSW Graphics, who I'm pretty sure does all Sean's work. He did some liveries for me as well, and if you're looking for a livery done, I can't recommend RSW Graphics enough. Ross is great to work with and delivers when he says he's going to deliver.
Yeah, good liveries, hard to come by. And if you can find someone like Ross that can do them for you, make the most of it. Just a quick look at Zach McDonald on lap 2. He had a bit of an incident. So a little bit of tandem sliding there with someone else. It looked like possibly the doctor in front of him there, Paul Warwick. But managed to get back on the track safely. Might just have a quick look. Scotty Gamble's down 6 spots in 11th, so I'm not sure what happened to Scotty. Obviously got hung out to dry early, I think. Don't underestimate Scotty. He'll fight his way back from there.
Yeah, Scotty's a cool, calm character. He keeps nice and cool. He doesn't lose his rag, and he just hangs in there. And yeah, I expect to see Scott fight back.
Definitely battling away there with Michael Angus in front of him. Jamie Dyke trying to latch onto the back of these boys. Might head back to the next group, which has got Connor Nixon in it. So Connor Nixon, Michael Whiting, Maguire, Ladder, Smart, Baldwin. So as you can see, we talked about before, not much room on the track for these guys to battle with. And this group here, see, look at that swarm of cars coming down that main straight. Looks like someone's gone off there. Brody Baldwin, I think, just fell off the back of this group. Quick look on the replay. Look, just caught the edge of the gravel. Manages to keep it off the fence. Did very well to control that. Of course, Brady in his first outing with Synergy Sim Racing, using all of his dirt racing experience there to keep control.
Yeah, it just looked like he lit it up coming off the ripple strip there, and it just stepped out from him. So bad luck for Brady, but he did well to control that and not end up in the fence.
Absolutely. So I might just go a little bit further back. We talked about the doctor, Paul Warwick. He's still battling away. He's managed to get up 5 spots. Dengate, young Harrison, he's up 9 spots in the 26th. Still struggling a bit with the qualifying format that we run for this series. As we head back, Warren Davis, he's back in that battle behind Jamie McKnight, keeping a lot of pressure on Jamie here. So definitely a lot of battles everywhere. We've still got James Scott, Robbie Gibbs up front.
Yeah, Rob's still got James well within touching distance, and Blake's not far off the back there. We've got a couple of second gap there back to Hayden Harrison, with Brenton Hobson behind him, followed by Thomas Freeman, Ben Morris, James Chastanoff, Paul Young, Michael Angus is your top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Scotty Gamble's made his pit stop early, so he's looking to get back out there and make hay in the second race when other people will be probably stopping it. Not sure how many have stopped yet, but I don't think there's many.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple that did the old pit lane start. Yeah, so we can see how that all rolls out. Of course, lap 6 of 22 here. Being a short little windy track, she's tough on tyres. The boys have got to look after the car a bit. But James Scott starting to settle into a bit of a rhythm. Might just jump down. Christian Smart under a bit of a battle here. Him and Michael Whiting. Not much in this. Still side by side. You can see if they can manage to get two cars too wide through 1 and 2 here. This is some great, respectful driving going on by these two.
Yeah, just as one driver thinks I've got him, the next corner goes against him, and the other one says, no, I've got you.
And no, Chris works himself off the track there, lets that one go. Yeah, gets passed by Damien Johnstone, his teammate. Jump back up with Hobbo now. Hobbo starting to hold up a few boys. He's got Freeman, Morris and Chasty lining up behind him here. And of course Chasty's got Paul Young and Michael Angus tucked up behind as well. So definitely a bit going on. As Leith McClement has just had an incident, so we might go the Supercheap Auto replay, have a quick look what's happened there. So the Valve Motorsport entry. Looks like he's just gone a little wide, clipped the gravel and he's been spun. Doesn't take much around this place. But this little battle pack here, absolutely fighting away.
Yeah, that's one of them little frustrating incidents that you know that you could have done a better job than what you did. He just got one half a tyre on the dirt there and hit the accelerator and it just went round on him. It's one of them really frustrating incidents.
Definitely.
Interesting that Brenton Hobson has dropped off the back of Hayden Harrison there. I'm not sure if he's just hasn't got a feel for the car or he's not liking the setup, but Hayden's been able to put a decent gap on him and he's under all sorts of pressure from Thomas Freeman at the moment. And we know how strong a driver Thomas is.
Yeah, quite a few strong drivers in this group. Interestingly enough, we might jump back up the front. James Scott still pacing this 0.3 second gap from Gibbs and 0.3 back to Warboys. So these guys not making any impression on each other here. So will be interesting. Oh, Gibbs going a little bit wide there. Will be interesting just to see if and when the pit stops come for this group. They're all looking a bit loose there.
Yeah, well, the track's up around 40 degrees, so I'm sure it's pretty slimy out there on track with the tyres doing a lot of work around here. There's a lot of lateral load in all these corners, so yeah, it won't be easy for the boys.
So a couple of them rolling in. We've just seen Johnstone, Dengate and McKnight roll into the pits. So a few of these boys starting to think about that strategy now. Right. They definitely got to manage your tyre wear, manage the car. Yes. Boys are all having a real crack through that part of the circuit. Kenny Ladders has had a bit of an off, put himself back on. Might just check out Paul Young, see how that little group's going. So Youngie here battling away behind his teammate James Chastaneath. Got a little bit of a gap now from Angus and Dyke, but Chasty dropping off a little bit from Ben Morris, who's battling up there with Freeman and Hobson. Might jump back Simon Chadwick, trying to get a move done against Connor Nixon, with Luke Holland starting to get into the back of this battle. Luke, one of our big improvers last season, getting himself involved with Synergy Sim Racing and obviously working quite hard in between his vets admin duties. And another one doing really well, we talked about before, of course, in Phoenix Racing Team is Tim Mulford. He's got himself up 11 spots now. That's a great effort from Tim.
Yeah, great to see Tim out here with us in the East Coast Series. I know Tim through doing race control and racing in various series on iRacing. It's good to see Tim out here having a dig. He's a great guy and he's a good driver.
Yep, doing quite well. And we just noticed that the doctor, Paul Warwick, got himself a penalty just then as well. So there's a bit going on with that incident we saw earlier on lap 4. So race control still playing a bit of catch up by the looks. What, just having another chat about another young one. Of course, this fella here, I'm going to dub the minnow. This is young Ty Delaney, son of the great Blake Delaney. So great to see Ty getting in there and having a bit of a dip.
I wonder if they're sharing fuel loads in that family. We know Blake is a great driver and he's one of the best fuel savers I've seen in these V8 supercars, and it's great to see Ty out here having a dig as well.
Yeah, we had the Fishy Cup on last week, and of course we've got just about as many Fishy cars in this race tonight as they had in the Fishy Cup, but young Ty wasn't scared to have a crack at Michael Whiting and a few of the old boys of the team, so looking forward to see what he can do in the coming couple of years as he starts to develop as an iRacing driver. And we might just have a look who our biggest mover is at the moment. So up 18 spots is Ryan Kerr. So Ryan from Muradness Racing, one of the new guys to the series. So great to see Ryan here, just sitting outside the top 10. And Kenny Ladders had an accident, so we might actually jump on the replay and see what's happened to Ken. Ken, it's one of the quick SSR guys here, working his way through into the last corner, open the door a little bit. That looks like that might have been Harrison Dengate involved in that. We'll leave that one for race control as well.
Yeah, slight lock up there from Harrison just before contact, so yeah, wouldn't want to be in race control trying to adjudicate that one. But Ryan Kerr, yeah, I mean, I don't know Ryan, I haven't seen him race before.
Hobbo now starting to come under a lot of pressure from Thomas Freeman.
Yeah, that pressure's been going for about 5, 6, 7 laps now, and yeah, I'm surprised Hobbo's struggling as much as he is, but he just might not have come to grips with this track yet. Scotty Gamble's down in 28th place. He's the first of our pit stoppers in this race, so Scotty probably figured he wasn't going to make any ground, and he may as well get his pit stop over and done with and try and get some clean air. So he's up to 27th now, so he's making a little bit of progress since he's pitted.
And of course, we're only up to lap 12 or 22 here, so this is a very brave move. Get this out of the way. And of course, everyone has to make one stop over the 2 races. And then try and balance their points across the night, which makes it quite a challenge to try and get right. Of course, Blake.
Sorry, John.
I was about to say, Blake Warboys here looking quite calm, tucked in behind Robert Gibbs still.
Yeah, I was just about to touch on that myself. Blake doing a really good job for WK&P Sim Sports, and James Scott and Robert Gibbs just ahead of him. There's been no real movement out of these 3. It's kind of just been lap after lap, follow each other and don't make any mistakes, and they're doing a good job. They've got 5 seconds on Hayden Harrison, who's got a couple of seconds on Brenton Hobson. So, yeah, still really stoked for Hayden. Good to see him out there having a good run tonight.
Yeah, great first outing for the team. I'm sure he'll be quite ecstatic with that. Looking forward to seeing how this one plays out, of course, when we start getting into stops and various things. And of course, when you're sitting 1, 2, 3, you're probably not going to make that stop in the first race, as we've seen in the past. So it'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out for us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody in front of Scott Gamble will be wishing for a safety car, and Scott Gamble will be hoping they don't get one. But Scotty's up to 26 now, so he's just making small inroads, making a few places here and there, and I think you'll find that most of the people, especially in the top 20, are probably not going to stop.
Absolutely. Interesting roll of the dice. So Jamie Dyke now is latched onto the back of this pack, on the back of Michael Angus, Paul Clark and James Chastaney. Of course, Jamie Dyke, the goldfish of the Fishy Sim Sports team. Might just jump back on with Luke Holland. He's tucked up behind Connor Nixon still, so he's done really well. He's progressed himself up 15 spots. As we go back through, the other one is doing really well. It's Chris Funky Miller. He's up 17 spots into the top 20. That's a great outing here for Chris. Of course, Chris, without his teammate tonight, Scotty the Rattler Van Loon. Poor old Scotty suffering from an infection with a tattoo in his leg, so that's laid him up out of the sim for a couple of weeks. So he's missing a couple of vets rounds as well.
Yeah, wishing Scotty all the best. Hope he recovers quickly and gets a full recovery, and yeah, look forward to seeing him back on track. But Chris Miller doing an excellent job in P20 for Pecky's racing. Chris is out of another one from the vet series, and he's doing a really good job tonight. Good to have some Pecky's racing representation in the East Coast series.
The other guy doing really well, fighting back from a pit lane start, is Michael Stewart. He's got himself up to the 24th. So that's a fair effort, fighting back from 43rd on the grid. Of course, Michael back in the series with Hypersonic Racing this season. Great to have Michael back. Of course, Michael, one of the drivers using the virtual headset, so driving with a bit of virtual reality. Which is the whole new concept for me. I think I'd be getting sick racing around with that, but kind of get a bit of a perspective of what he's looking at from the screen in front as he works his way past Ryan Kerr there.
Yeah, Michael does a great job in VR. I raced VR for quite a while. It is a lot of fun. It is very immersive, but I found it was just too hot for me, so especially in the summertime. So didn't quite have the cool suit worked out. But yeah, Michael doing a great job, and yeah, watching him in the VR sim there, it reminds me of how much fun it was when I was doing it.
And Scotty Gamble's just worked his way past Ryan Kerr as well. So Scotty's now up into 25th. So coming back after that stop, a big shout out to Race Control, who apparently got enough time now to jump in the chat and say good day. 16 of 22 gone here.
So just on 6 laps to go, we've got James Scott, Robert Gibbs, Blake Warboys, Hayden Harrison, Brenton Hobson, Thomas Freeman, Ben Morris, James Chastanou, Paul Young, Michael Angus. Not a whole lot of changes in that top 10 at the moment.
They all seem to have settled in, but not many of them are rolling in for the pit stops either, which is going to be very interesting how that plays out as we progress through this race, and particularly into the next heat. No safety car.
Yeah, that's right. We're just seeing James Scott just starting to edge out a little bit here from Robert Gibbs. Robert's done an excellent job keeping him in sight the whole race, but James, just the last couple of laps, is just starting to get a little bit of a gap to Robert.
We might just jump on with another one of the new 9.5 SimSport drivers, Zach McDonald. He's battling away with Ryan Kerr now. Yeah, someone just peeled off the pits in front of them, which I think might have been Matty Whitaker. There's some great little battles happening here. Brenton Hobson still under all sorts of pressure from Thomas Freeman. So Hobbo are trying to hang on to 5th spot here. Of course,
That's been a race-long battle, that one.
Absolutely, and of course, what Hobbo is good at last season when he won the championship was being consistently finishing in that top 10. So you'd probably be quite happy here sitting in 5th, trying to get off on a good start to the series.
Yeah, absolutely, John. We saw that last season from Hobbo when he didn't have the speed to win the race. He just consolidated his performances and took the maximum points he could get in each round, and it's a smart way to race. He didn't throw anything away, he didn't give any points away, he took the maximum points every race, and yeah, we saw him walk away with the championship.
Absolutely. Consummate professional. One of the long-time guys from Synergy Sim Racing, quite well known for his dirt racing as well. Has a huge Twitch following. Battling very hard here with Freeman and Morris Chastity, of course, a further 5.5 seconds back from these guys. And Gibbs, sitting in second now, has dropped a second off. Second off James Scott. No, they're getting into a little bit of traffic now as well, so that could be starting to play into the equation.
Yeah, always difficult when you've got lap cars coming back through the field with the leaders coming up on them. It's always difficult to pick where you're going to get past, and sometimes it just feels like the driver in front of you gets a free run and you always kind of get caught behind them. That's how it feels to me anyway.
Yeah.
But it's the same for everybody. Everybody's got to do the same job. So James Scott doing a good job here. The lap traffic. Oh, we just seen one of the fishy boys coming off the grass there, but he's got away with it.
Well, it hasn't shown up. Might have been Paul Warwick, I think. The background feed. No, Paul's still tucked in behind Warboys. Might just jump.
Matt Whitaker he just lost it on the grass as the leaders come past, but he was able to keep it under control and everybody got through safely.
Yeah, absolutely good to see. Might just jump on with Jamie Dyke, Paul Young. This battle's starting to heighten up. Dyke now getting right in behind Young and having a good look here. The lap's winding down now, 19 of 22 complete.
3.5 to go. Jamie Dyke putting all sorts of pressure on on Paul Young. Paul doing a great job, and James Chassenov, his teammate, doing a good job in front of these boys in 8th place. It just got to keep the car in the right spot here, and it's very difficult to overtake unless you make a massive lunge and risk a incident and a drive-through penalty, and James is probably not going to do that.
Absolutely. And we might just quickly throw to an ad. I might just leave you for a second, Mark. I've just got to do something.
Paul Young, with a big send on his teammate, has put himself under all sorts of pressure. A little bit of touching from Paul and Jamie, but Jamie's got through there. The one thing I said Paul wouldn't do, he's gone and done. Good job from Jamie Dyke there to keep it all under control and not make too much contact, but he's gained a spot. Scotty Gamble back, the first of our pit stoppers at the moment. He's back in 22nd place, so he's probably not going to make too much more ground than that, I don't think. I don't think too many people will be pitting from here on in. I'm sure Paul Young is a little bit frustrated with himself giving away a position like that.
It doesn't make life easy. Paul battling away quite well here. No, he's got to get back into it. He's got Michael Whiting starting to catch up behind.
Yep, just under 2 laps to go. James Scott's still out in front with Robert Gibbs about a second and a half behind him, with Blake Warboys behind Robert. Then Hayden Harrison, Brenton Hobson, Thomas Freeman, Ben Morris, James Chassenov, Jamie Dyke and Paul Young, rounding out your top 10.
And Freeman there just getting past Hobson. Hobson getting a little bit loose there into turn 3. Opening the door up now. Ben Morris is also having a look here. So it's quite interesting. We're getting towards the end of these tyre life, and these guys are all starting to struggle.
Yeah, we've seen a few boys getting a bit loose towards the end of this race, so you know the tyres are screaming out for mercy.
Absolutely. As we continue on, we still have this battle with Dyke, Young and Chastanove. So the Banner Alliance boys here getting caught up in a bit of a fish sandwich as James Scott takes the white flag for the last lap. But Robert Gibbs here still trying to keep the pressure on. A little bit of traffic in the background there with Hayden Harrison and Thingo. Still battling away. Jamie Dyke tucked up right behind James Chastanove here. Let's keep a little bit of an eye on James Scott. But these boys here battling away quite frantically. Might jump back up with our race leader. It's a little bit of traffic to deal with. A little bit of traffic going off on the grass there. Not sure who that was. Any ladder, I think. James Scott's dominated this one. He controlled the pace very well early on. It wasn't until about 3 or 4 laps ago he put a bit of a gap on Robert Gibbs. I think traffic might have had a bit to do with it. Robert Gibbs, of course, under a lot of pressure from War Boys. Behind as James Scott comes around for the final turn and will be our race 1 winner for tonight. A great effort from James. Robert Gibbs is going to bring it home in second for ERT's first outing in the series. Warboys in third. Hayden Harrison in fourth. Freeman will get home from Hobson. Hobson will beat Morris. Chastanove is going to hold off the fast finishing Jamie Dyke. Paul Young will finish in this group in 10th. Michael Whiting in 11th. 12th will be Maguire. Delaney will be 13th. Angus 14. Nixon 15. Simon Chadwick will be 16th. Luke Holland 17th. Tim Mulford 18. Chris Miller in 19. Brady Baldwin will be 20th. Some fast finishing guys here. Scott Gamble, the first of our pit stoppers, will be finishing 21st. Michael Stewart bringing it home in 22nd. That was a hectic first race, Mark.
Yeah, it was a lot going on in that race. James Scott did an excellent job, and full credit to Robert Gibbs from Evolution Racing Team on his debut, finishing second. He done a fantastic job. Blake Warboys, a former series champion, coming home in third. Blake did a solid job as well. Great to see Hayden Harrison for the 9-5 Simsport boys get a top 5 placing with 4th spot, and then the Fishy boy of Thomas Freeman in 5th. So yeah, there was lots of good racing. There wasn't a lot of passing, but there was a lot of pressure motorsport out there, and yeah, there wasn't too many mistakes, but there was a few little ones, and yeah, it was some good racing.
And of course, we now go into a 5-minute warm up. Then the boys will be at it straight into Heat 2. So we might quickly take this moment, Mark, to throw to a ad to thank our prime sponsor, Supercheap Auto.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Of course, the boys, a few of them back on track already, having a bit of a look. It's only a very short break of 5 minutes. Still only got a minute and a half down of that, so 3.5 minutes left. All these boys will be having a drink, having a look at their setups, thinking about what they got to tweak to help them get that little bit quicker.
Yeah, first car we see back out there is once again is James Scott, already thinking about his race 2 strategy and whether he can tweak the car a little bit, keeping his eye in, doing some laps. So James, a real pro, and yeah, like as we've seen in race 1, he's always up there at the front, and he's a hard man to get past. So be interesting to see how the pit stop strategy plays out in this race, because none of these boys in the top 20 have pitted. I think Scotty Gamble was home in around P21 when he was the first of our pit stoppers. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with a lot of people yet to make a pit stop.
And of course, you got the long pit entry here, and you've got the very weird pit exit where you basically got to pull it back to first gear and turn it hard right at 30 kilometres an hour to get out. So it's not the fastest pit stop in the world.
Yeah, absolutely right, John. And just touching on that pit exit where you say you have to go back to first gear, you cannot get too close to the Armco railing on that pit exit either, because there's a bit of red paint on the road there, and I found out through quite a few laps of practice that you touch that red paint, you get a black flag.
Yeah, it's a tough exit. So these boys have all got to be a bit careful. And of course, as we saw race 1, it was all green flag racing. So that in itself, if we have that again, will definitely spice this one up, I think. And as we talked about earlier, this track is not conducive for overtaking in a supercar. You got to really pressure the guy in front to make the mistake. So it'll be interesting to see the likes of James trying to fight his way back through the pack if he has to. So I think we could be in for a bit of an action-packed second race here, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see in the previous race with Christian Smart and Michael Whiting, I think it was, going door to door for, 3/4 of a lap, and eventually one of them was able to finally get the job done. But there is opportunities here, but you really got to get a lot better run than the guy in front of you to get alongside him and force your way in there. And we didn't see much of that in race one. It's good to see everybody feeling their way back into the series. We don't want carnage, so it'll be interesting to see whether that rule applies for race two.
Well, it will be. I think a few of these boys will have their elbows out for this one, I think. And of course, some big results from race one. The likes of Robbie Gibbs doing very well, getting himself into that second spot in his first outing in the East Coast Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know much about Robert, but clearly he is a very accomplished driver. He's driving for a very good team in ERT and the Evolution Race team, and we know that they recruit some very good quality drivers. And yeah, Robert's done an amazing job to finish second in his debut for the East Coast Series.
Absolutely. As we'll have a quick look at the grid as we line up for this next race. So we've got James Scott, Robert Gibbs, Blake Warboys, Hayden Harrison, Thomas Freeman, Brenton Hobson in sixth, Ben Morris, James Chastanoof, Jamie Dyke, Paul Young, Michael Whiting, Troy Maguire. And then we roll into Blake Delaney, Michael Angus, Connor Nixon, Simon Chadwick, Luke Holland, Tom Mulford, Chris Miller, Brady Baldwin, Scotty Gamble, Michael Stewart. Of course, Scotty Gamble, the first of our stoppers. And then we've got Craig Schultz in 23rd from 9.5 Sim Sports, Christian Smart in 24th. And then we have Scotty McCune, Damien Johnstone, Warren Davis, Zach McDonald, James Jamie McKnight in 30th, Dave Kirby 31st, Ty Delaney 32nd, Harrison Dengate back in 33rd, Ryan Kerr 34th, Banter Alliance's Roy Clark in 35th, Matty Stewart in 36th. As we start to head back around the corner here, then roll into Paul Warwick, Matt Whitaker, Kenny Ladderback in 39th, Dave Coleman in 40th, Dylan Thomas in 41st, Luke Power in 42nd, Leith McClements in 43rd, and then we've got our two race control entries. It is going to be a cracker. That's all I can say about this one that we're about to see the start for.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be down the back of the pack. It feels like you're starting half a lap behind already. But yeah, the boys at the front certainly got a big advantage. And yeah, it's going to be interesting once these pit stops start to happen.
It will be, and it'll be interesting to see when they all decide to roll here, whether they go half race distance, try and get it out of the way early, or go for as long as they can, hoping for a safety car. And we've got about a minute to go before we get rolling. So a few names to watch out for. I think will be the man sitting in 21st, Scotty Gamble. Don't underestimate him after going in early as the pit stop in race one. So he's got his out of the way. And expect the likes of a few more names back in that group down there. It'll be interesting to see whether Jamie McKnight can work his way up the field. Harrison Dengate in 33rd needs to work his way up the field a bit as well. So there's quite a few big names down the back there to keep an eye on. It's just waiting on Warboys to get on the grid with 15 seconds to go. Warboys might have some technical issues here, I think. Oh no, he's just got in time. That's very lucky. He's got about 5 seconds till we kick off here in our feature race. Another 22 laps around this circuit. As the boys are gridding now, expect the lights to go on. Got one red light, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights are out. We are away. A lot of smoke up the back. James Scott with a reasonable jump. A little bit spread out at the back this time, 3 or 4 wide. We'll see how they all come through turn 1 and 2. But James Scott gets through quite well. Warboys gets a jump on Gibbs this time. Freeman is tucked into 4th. Hayden Harrison battling for 5th there. It looks like he's about to lose out on that. Ben Morrison there tucked in behind. Hobson, Chastanove, Dyke, Whiting, Young, Delaney. So a few boys battling it out. Definitely a fair bit happening. Looks like Matt Stewart may have been involved in an incident. We'll go back and have a look at that in a minute. The rest of that looks like it might be fairly well settled. A little bit of a call into race control there from Paul Warwick. We'll just see how this one settles down. But James Scott looking quite well composed here. And we might just quickly jump back and have a look what happened to Matt Stewart. So turn 2 or 3 wide. It's going to get squeezed onto the outside. And doesn't get collected by anyone else. That's pretty safe. And have a quick look at Connor Nixon, Blake Delaney as well. I saw that was called in. Another case of drifting out wide. I'll leave that one to race control.
Yeah, it looked like a case of 3 into 1 don't go there. A few boys just kind of touching each other. Nothing nefarious there. It was just a hard, close racing, and I think that probably a few boys didn't realise how close they were to each other.
Absolutely. Battling away.
Yep, James Scott off to a fantastic start out in front. Blake Warboy's doing an excellent job after we saw Blake just jump on the grid at the last moment, but he's seems to have got his mind set pretty quickly, and he's doing a good job in 2nd place. Robert Gibbs in 3rd, Thomas Freeman doing a good job up in 4th, followed by Hayden Harrison, Brenton Hobson in 6th, Ben Morris, James Chastity, Jamie Dyke, Michael Whiting got a good jump and he's up 1 spot into the top 10.
Absolutely. Done a very good job getting himself into the top 10, Michael. Paul Young will be fighting the battle hard there with that. Have a quick look. Scotty Gamble still sitting in 21st. He hasn't made any gains in that start.
No, he hasn't gained anything, but the most important thing, he hasn't lost anything either. He didn't get caught up in anything, so he's off and running, and hopefully he can get some good clean running and edge his way forward as the other boys start to pit.
Absolutely, and of course Steve Murray in the chat saying that he thinks he's putting his money on Scotty Gamble getting a podium here, so big call from Steve.
That is a big call, but we know Scotty from V8 Veterans, a former series champion, knows how to get around a track very quickly, and he's a very accomplished steerer. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Scott close to getting the podium or on the podium tonight.
Absolutely, these boys battling away. Robbie Gibbs keeping Warboys quite honest here. As you can see, it's a fast sort of flowing circuit.
We're seeing James Scott able to edge away a little bit here from Blake Warboys.
Yeah, definitely starting to clear out a little bit.
Got a safety car. We've, I think I did hear somebody requesting a tow. Dylan Thomas, I think it was, from Fishy.
Dylan, where are you?
He's down around turn 5 at the moment. We're going to see a flurry of pit stop action here.
Yeah, it's waiting to see. Barella's in the car, so I think we do have a safety car. Been looking forward to this one. It's heading out on track. So we're about to unveil the all-new Vehicle Finance Solutions Kia safety car. Great looking machine this is. Waves a few cars past as he waits to pick up the race leader. So, as we said, a bit of a flurry about to happen here in the pit lane, I think. That makes it interesting. They're not getting a halfway safety car. These guys are going to have to roll themselves out. So maybe advantage Scott Gamble is. Scott Gamble now up into 10th. So a major flurry. The Damien Johnstone's rolled up in the first. Scotty Gamble, Christian Smart, McKnight in fourth. All these guys have stopped early. They're all going to be under a lot of pressure now as they try to wrap up the safety car here.
Not sure what's happened to Tim Mulford, but he's got a black flag by the look of it, so he probably picked up a penalty in pit lane, I'd say.
Yeah, not a great thing to do. As you were talking about earlier, even that pit lane exit can catch you out. So, Richie Barella in the Kia. Waiting for the boys to be picked up here.
Don't think I've ever seen a Kia on track. It actually looks like quite a nice race car.
It's quite well presented in the Vehicle Finance Solutions livery. Still waving a few boys by, I think. Well, that Damien's picked him up. So Johnstone onto the back in safety car. Here comes Gamble, Smart, McKnight. That's an interesting restart coming here, I think. So just so we all get in the picture, James Scott's come back out in the 15th spot, along with Wallboys and Gibbs. So no change of position there in pits between those guys.
Yeah, so that's advantage to the boys who pitted in race one by the look of it. Scotty Gamble currently in P2. Steve Murray did make a prediction, and so far that prediction's looking like it may well play out.
Absolutely, and as I was saying a bit earlier, with this happening so early on, the other guys aren't going to get a tyre advantage or an extreme tyre advantage out of this. So definitely play on to Scotty Gamble here.
Yep, Scotty made the smart strategy call when he was buried in the pack in race one to get his pit stop out of the way, and it's paid dividends now. And you know, it just goes to show you that, you know, Scotty's always thinking about his racing and how he can gain an advantage within the rules, and he's done a great job to end up in P2 at the moment.
Absolutely. Looks like we've got most of the field in tow now, so there's probably a fair chance we might be about to go green this lap.
I just heard race control calling a few more drivers through, so there must be some lap traffic still in there somewhere. It'll be interesting to see how James Scott goes overtaking some people around this track. We didn't see much overtaking in race one. Few good passes were made, but wasn't a whole lot of passing. Now James is back in 15th. It's going to be interesting to see how much pressure he puts on people and whether he can fight his way back through the field.
It will be, like I said earlier, this isn't going to be a tough place to pass. So I'm interested to see how he goes, and of course the boys behind him, in Wallboys and And Gibbs as well. He's got two of the fishy cars about to be waved past. Dan Weaver in the chat saying let the carnage begin now.
We don't want any carnage. We want good, clean racing, and we see that most weeks in this series. There's never too much foul play, but we want hard racing, but we don't want any silly moves that's going to ruin somebody else's night. That's not what we want.
Nah, exactly.
And all these boys in this series, they know how to race. They're not here because they want to ruin somebody else's night. They're here because they're competitive and they love good hard racing, and that's what we're about to see once this safety car gets away.
Absolutely, this series well known for its good hard racing. Well, let's do a quick run while the field gets sorted. So we've got Johnston in first, Gamble in second, Smart, McKnight, Mashudo, Harrison Dengate, Kenny Latta, Dave Coleman, Matty Whitaker, Dave Kirby in 10th, Roy Clark in 11th, Luke Power in 12th, Leith McClymont in 13th, Paul Warwick in 14th, and then we've got James Scott, Warboys, Gibbs, Freeman, Hayden Harris and Brenton Hobson in 20th, Ben Morris, Jamie Dyke, Jamie Chastaneuf, Paul Young in 24th, Michael Angus, Troy Maguire, Simon Chadwick in 27th, Brady Baldwin in 28th, Chris Miller, Luke Holland, Tim Mulford in 31st, Warren Davis, Craig Schultz, Scotty McCune in 34th, Michael Stewart in 35th, Ryan Kerr. And after that, we've got McDonald, Delaney, Stewart, Blake Delaney, Michael Whiting and Dylan Thomas. So a few of the fishy boys there getting caught out, I think, with the safety car. It's hard to tell if that's accelerating to pull away from the field or not.
It's well in excess of 80 kilometres an hour.
Just. Of course, Richard been doing plenty of laps in the car getting practice. As we jump back on to Damien Johnstone, he's now taking control of the field. And Damien Johnstone accelerates, and we are now green flag racing. Looks like a fairly clean start by every. Damien getting a good jump on Scott Gamble here. Smart under a bit of pressure from McKnight. Of course, those two wily coyotes have been racing each other for a long time. Then we've got Mashudo and Dengate tucked in behind. Ladder, Coleman. Damien Johnstone here getting a nice little start to get the ball rolling. You boys having a bit of issues down the back. We might just jump on, have a quick look what's happened between Hayden Harrison. Supercheap Auto replay, 3 wide, a little bit of a tap there with Warwick in the middle. Let's put Harrison off to the side there, a little bit unfortunate after his first race. Manages to keep control of the car. Sure, race control, we having a look at that one?
Yeah, it's a shame for Hayden. He was doing a great job, but these things happen. He'll just have to get back out on track and get on with it. Damien Johnson out in front doing a good job. Got Scotty Gamble in second place, followed by Christian Smart, Jamie McKnight, Jamie Machado, Harrison Dengate, Kenneth Latta, Dave Coleman, Matt Whitaker, Dave Kirby. All these boys pitted in race 1. So they've gained a big advantage in here in race 2.
So McKnight now under a bit of pressure. It's past Mashudo, so Mashudo drops back a little bit there. These boys continue to battle on.
Notice James Scott's already up into 12th, so he's He's already made 3 spots up since race start, or race restart, I should say.
Brady Baldwin off in the gravel there, gets himself going again.
Not sure what happened with Brady there, but I did hear him on the radio to race control to have a look at that incident.
Let's go, the Supercheap replay. Oh, he's caught up with one of the 9.5 sim guys. Not sure who it was. Brady? No, I didn't. No, he's in the fence there, yeah. So not sure what's happened there.
It looked a bit unusual, that one. It looked like he was sandwiched between 2 cars, but anyway, race control sort that one out.
Damien Johnstone now under a lot of pressure from Scott Gamble. Tim Mulford and Warren Davis involved in an incident. We might go have a quick look at this one in a second. Sounding like race control's getting a bit busy. So Blake Delaney with a post-race penalty for contact on lap 1 with the 168.
Sorry, John. I did hear Blake on the race radio before saying that his centre monitor blacked out, and that's what caused the issue with him. So it's a shame for Blake.
Never easy when that happens to you. I think see Scotty Gamble here struggling to find a way past Damien Johnstone. I might just jump on with Tim Mulford and have a look at what happened with his incident. We go to Supercheap Auto replay. 3 wide, this ain't going to end well. And, oh yeah, another one of the 9.5 and another incident in front of him there as well. So that was Luke Power, I think, involved in that. Luke Power getting across the gravel. Not much you can do there. Manages to miss, bunking everybody else. Spins himself again. Lucky to stay out of everyone's way.
That was a busy looking car park there for a while.
Not wrong. And then Mulford got into Davis after that. So definitely a lot happened here. Let's keep an eye on Mulford again. Definitely a few guys going everywhere. We'll go back to live racing.
Yeah, just looking at the leaderboard again. James Scott now into P11. Blake Warboys into P12. Robert Gibbs into P13. So they were your top 3 in race 1. At race 2, we have Damien Johnson, Scott Gamble, and Christian Smart as the top 3 at the moment, with 11 laps to go.
You can see James Scott here battling away. You can see the battle pack in front of him that he's dealing. You can see Warboys here trying to make some moves as well on Dave Kirby. Sorry, on Matt Whitaker. James Scott all over the back of Kirby.
Yep, James proving that passing is possible around here, and he's made 4 spots since a safety car restart, so he's doing a good job, and he's not that far off the lead, but going to be hard work for him to get all the way to the front.
Absolutely, great little battle pack here with Gamble, McKnight, Mashudo, Ladder. I'm not sure. I think Gambo might have had a little bit of an off there. We might have a quick look at the replay. See what happened there, Gambo. He did drop back a few seconds. Went to dive, lost control, managed to hang on. That's how Gambo's dropped back.
Looked like he got his front left on the grass there a little bit. Just kind of sent him sideways. It's a shame for Scott. He's just going to have to battle back from that.
Of course, Gamble, McKnight, Mashudo, Ladder, Coleman. This is a great little battle pack here. Dengate, Kirby. James Scott starting to latch onto the back of Kirby as well. only halfway distance to this race, shaping up to be an epic finish. Oh, someone in the background there going sideways. I think that might have been Dave Kirby. Dave Kirby's found the grass. It's another one that these boys have managed to get themselves past. James Scott now moves into 9th. War Boys into 10th. And
I did hear the tyres screeching in the background when Dave Kirby went off, and he's been on the blower to race control, so I wouldn't want to be unpacking that one for the moment, because I think James Scott was involved in that.
Absolutely. Definitely keeping their hands busy here. As you can see our podium, Hayden Harrison with a drive-through penalty from earlier. And you can see our podium from race 1 starting to latch onto the back of that next group, which will really make things exciting. The Dengate, Coleman, Ladder, Mashudo and McKnight in a great little battle, all battling amongst themselves there. Someone spun, that's Mashudo. Mashudo with the spin on the last corner. That's allowed these boys through. McKnight, Scott now up into 8th. Pressure being kept on these guys. Mashudo still hasn't got himself back in, but he's got to wait for the traffic to go past. That's a very painful mistake to make. As he calls in the race control, as you can see, Dengate now making a look on Ladder, gets back out of it. Scott tucked up behind Dengate. This battle really starting to fire up. And definitely interesting to see what's going to happen here. Kenny Ladder, of course, with all these boys behind him.
Yeah, it's not the procession we've seen in race 1. We've seen the gloves come off and the elbows come out. So been some good hard racing in this race so far. Damien Johnson doing a good job out in front with his teammate Christian Smart in second. Scott Gamble still got his foot on the podium there in P3.
James Scott there went a little bit hot. Gibbs has got him his way on War Boys. So Scott in the last corner there was a little bit loose. There these boys to bunch back up again, which I think then allowed Gibbs to jump in there on War Boys.
Yeah, good opportunistic move there from Gibbs. He saw the gap and he fired his car in there and got through there cleanly.
This might just jump back out the front. Damien Johnstone leading teammate, War Boys on the radio, so I'm not sure what that's for. Leaving teammate Christian Smart. Then we've got Scott Gamble from Evolution Racing and James Scott. Might just go back, see if we can have a look at that Robert Gibbs pass again. Not sure why there's anything in that. Thought it looked fairly clean from what we saw before.
I think it was just Blake and James Scott came together, and there was nothing really
untoward.
In it. Yeah, it just looked like James got a little bit sideways off one of the ripple strips, and it just opened the door for Gibbs to put his car past Blake, and that's what he did, and there's not much Blake could do about it, unfortunately.
Of course, they're all battling through there. You got Dengate's under pressure now from Hobson and Freeman. These boys all knocking on the door, getting themselves in the top 10.
So yeah, James Scott doing a good job in 7th, but he has got a couple of clouds hanging over him. He's had 2 people call incidents on him in race control. Haven't heard anything back from race control as yet, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Will be. See how this one goes. So I'm going to jump on and have a quick look at how our old mate Jamie McKnight, the People's Champion's getting on. He's still in 4th spot. He's got a bit of a train behind him in Coleman, Ladder and Scott. So this is all going to get very interesting still, I think, before we see the end of this race. We're up 16 to 22, so it's starting to close down.
Awesome. 6 laps to go, and Jamie McKnight, the People's Champion, great servant in the V8 Vet Series, does all the fixed setups for the series, and they're always great setups. He's a big contributor to iRacing in the Australian iRacing scene. He is involved in a lot of sponsorship in teams, races, series. He does a lot for iRacing, and it's good to see him up there in 4th position at the moment.
Absolutely, and of course, Jamie is the man, the myth, the legend behind the West End Motor Group, which is our banner sponsor for this season, back again from last season. And of course, West End Motor Group, Too Easy Finance, Parramatta Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Utes, Parramatta Peugeot Professionals, Parramatta City Haval and GWM, Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown City Haval and GWM as well. So if you are in the Sydney area in the market for a new motor vehicle, I highly recommend you get in contact with the West End Motor Group. There's James Scott about to make his move on Kenny Ladder here, I think. Gibbs is getting involved in this one too. Warboy sneaks through as well.
Yeah, I think Kenneth probably just thought he'd just ease his teammate past there, but he ended up losing 3 spots, so probably a bit more generous than what he wanted to be.
Of course, Hobbo looking a little bit racy back there as well now on the back of Ladder. And Hobbo's of course got Thomas Freeman keeping the pressure on him as well. Of course, James Scott now lines up the next one in front of him with Dave Coleman and Jamie McKnight. So definitely a bit of a battle to go on here still. Laps are closing down. These boys have got to make the most of their opportunities. But it's still Johnston, Smart and Gamble out in front.
Four laps to go, just over 4 laps to go, and James Scott really in the hunt here to get past Dave Coleman and Jamie McKnight in front of him. Putting all sorts of pressure on the moment on Dave Coleman. Dave's doing a good job to hold him out, but I don't know how much longer he can do it for.
Absolutely working hard. Here comes James now on Coleman. No, doors closed again. We did say this place is hard to pass. Jamie McKnight, of course, is as crafty as anyone else. As we can see Hobson on the back of Warboys in the background as James Scott gets past.
James forced the error there on Dave Coleman and was managed to get through.
But definitely a bit of a line-up there with Coleman, Gibbs, Warboys, Hobson, Freeman. Just playing into the hands of Johnson and Smart up in front and Gamble, allowing these boys to get away a little bit. As the laps start to tick down, it's going to get harder for James Scott to catch those guys in front. But Gibbs now having a look. Gets the job done on Coleman. No, bit of contact there. Coleman's pushed off. Gibbs in the grass. Warboys pass, Hobson pass, Thompson's pass. Sorry, Freeman pass, and then ladder as well. So big loss there for Gibbs in that move.
Yeah, a bit of frustration there for Gibb.
Absolutely, a lot of frustration. The Smart now starts to put a little bit of pressure on Johnson with 2 to go. Jamie McKnight now passed by James Scott. Warboys will now be the next one, trying to get onto the back, try and increase a few spots here. Can James get himself up onto the next row of the grid? This will be rather interesting to see how he goes. And Scott is a fair way back from Scott Gamble, so he's got a reasonable lead there of about 6 seconds. So I think Scott Gamble will be okay here. I think our podium is set. I think the question will be, will it be Johnson or Smart? That'll be the big question. And then as the rest of our top 10 rolls out, you've got Warboys and Hobson battling it out with McKnight and Scott in front.
Yeah, great to see Christian Smart up there in P2. He's another good vet driver. He's always up there and always helping people out. Loves his racing, and good to see him in P2 behind Damien Johnson. Just goes to show there's plenty of speed in some of the old boys.
Absolutely. And great little drive here. Hobbo keeping the pressure on Warboys, having a little look. Backs out of it. Comes around the other side. Of course, this
Lap and a half to go now, and yeah, this little pack is not done racing yet.
there's drive-through penalty for Kenny Ladder now for contact with 269. Sorry, contact with car 400. So that was contact with James Masciuto. So missed that one, I think. A bit of a blow there for Kenny.
Jamie Knight runs wide, loses a couple of...
Take Warboys and Hobson through.
Don't often see that from Jamie. Good
No.
pressure there from Blake.
As we take the white flag for the last lap. So plenty of little battles everywhere around here. Damien Johnstone managing to hold off Christian Smart for most of the race. Can he keep it done? Gamble starting to catch up onto the back of these guys now as well. A great drive from Scotty Gamble. Get himself into P3.
Yeah, great job from Scott. Played the strategy card very well tonight. Has been able to get himself up onto the podium for race 2. But James Scott has proved tonight that you can pass around this track, and he started in 15th after the safety car, and he's managed to get his way up to 4th. So that's a pretty solid drive there from James.
Yeah, he applied plenty of pressure to the guys around him. Is the key to this place. Up into 22nd, sorry, lap 22 coming in to come across the line. We have a race winner. Damien Johnstone, Christian Smart, Scotty Gamble in 3rd. James Scott will bring it home in 4th. Over the pole and a 4th spot. That is a great effort from him. Warboys home in 5th with a 3 and a 5. So our 2 best drivers for the night. Hobbo home in 6th. Great little drive from Hobbo. Be consistently in the top 10 like he usually is. Thomas Freeman in 7th. Jamie McKnight Another one of the guys who didn't pit in this race, up 22 spots supposedly. Robert Gibbs, done very well after his little indiscretion, gets home in 9th. Harrison Dengate rounds out our top 10. So great little recovery from Harrison. Ben Morris in 11th, Jamie Dyke 12th, Chastity in 13, 14 was Young. Michael Angus home in 15, Troy Maguire 16, Dave Coleman 17. Bunky Miller for Pecky Performance Racing, Quantum Tint Solutions home in 18th, Dave Kirby, Luke Holland, Simon Chadwick, Craig Schultz, Stuart Clark, Baldwin, McCune and Stewart, and Mashudo, Tim Mulford and Ryan Kerr round out our top 30. That was a very hectic race, and just got to say these boys have done really well around this place.
Yeah, there was some tough battles there, but it just proved that, you know, like I said, passing is possible around here, and there was quite a few moves being made in race 2. Some very good racing, and yeah, really happy to see Damien Johnson, Christian Smart, and Scott Gamble up on the podium. But James Scott, overall, I think, you know, with a first and a fourth in the 2 races, has done an epic job tonight, plus the pole position.
Definitely has. And your drive of the night, Mark?
Hard to go past James Scott. He really, he had it up against him in race 2 there when he didn't have the pit stop advantage. So he made up 11 spots, I think, after the safety car. So around this track, that's some pretty good driving.
Well, speaking of pretty good drivers, we might drag in 2 now. We might drag in Damien Johnstone and Christian Smart. Christian and Damien, what a race, mate.
Yeah, thanks, John. Cheers, buddy.
Did you think you were going to get Damien at the end there?
I wouldn't say that. I was happy to finish on the podium, to be honest with you.
It was fairly interesting. Like that early safety car definitely played into your hands.
100%.
You're getting a bit worried when you started seeing James's name coming through the list?
I wasn't looking back there. I told him when the safety car came out and it was in 15th, I said, you could win it from here.
Oh, absolutely. They've all done very well. What about
you? Any other track he probably would have.
Yeah. Too true.
Oh, he's in the green room, so we'll bring him in as well. James, great drive, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I wasn't expecting anything tonight, really. I'd been on the sim for weeks before last night, and I'd never driven the track before, so I didn't expect much. But yeah, it's a fun little track. Probably not the best for racing. It's pretty hard to pass, but yeah, no, it's a good round 1.
Yeah, I think you put a fair bit of pressure on a few of those boys there at the end. You're getting a bit worried. Like I think Mark was saying that you were sort of involved in a couple of little incidents.
Yeah, it is what it is. I wasn't worried. I can't do anything about it. So I was just, if there was a call made, that's it. So no point worrying about it.
No, that's fair enough too.
Yeah, I mean, it just proved, sorry to jump in there, John, but it proved that you started 15th after safety car and finished 4th, so overtaking was possible around here. You just had to work hard at it.
Yeah, that was it. I don't know how much you got on the broadcast, but I was definitely setting up the move. Don't know what corner it is, but into the fourth last corner. So after that little back straight, the car seemed to be pretty good to that fast right-hander, so I was able to make a few moves down there. But yeah, definitely turn 1. Thought there was going to be a lot more carnage in the opening laps, to be honest. With a really tight first few corners. So well done to everyone for getting through, pretty much unscathed.
Boys have all done very well. I've been quite impressed with the standard of racing from everybody again as we kick off another season here. So next week we're off to Phillip Island for a 250k classic. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Should be good. Phillip Island's always good. Haven't driven there for a little bit, probably since the last time we raced here, so Have to do some laps, but always a good track. I've done plenty of laps there before, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Well, I should get some practice in, seeing as I've got a race there on Thursday night. So, yeah, maybe I should do a lap or two.
Yes, vets, always a good battle there at Phillip Island in vets. What about you, Damien? Any thoughts on Phillip Island?
We should go well there. We've always got a pretty decent set. Just got to get back into the sim. Haven't raced since Bathurst, so it's been good break.
It's pretty much what a lot of guys have done. Have had that break, which is good. They're all back fresh, ready to race on. Any questions or thoughts from you, Mark?
No, I think the boys, the SRT boys obviously did a great job tonight. A couple on the podium. Scotty Gamble did a good job as well, finishing P3, so it was good to see him up there. I think Phillip Island's going to see some pretty hotly contested racing. We know there's, like the three boys in here already have got a lot of experience around there, and there's a lot of guys in the field who have got a lot of experience around Phillip Island. So looking forward to some red hot racing around there. It's always good to watch the V8s go around there, and I think next week should be an epic battle.
Yeah, it should be. Look forward to seeing what Scotty Gamble can do, having the RT boys there. Of course, their team boss is quite well known at Phillip Island, so definitely on top of their strategy game with that one. Before we sign off, I might just give James a chance to give a bit of a shout out to some of the SSR sponsors.
Yeah, it was all the guys at SSR. New year, but same bunch of guys. So hopefully the results don't change too much. But obviously our great sponsors as well: Wave Runner Performance, JK Signs, Smith and Sons, Twizy Finance, Western Mazda, Posse's Mechanical, and obviously you guys for the broadcast and the admin and everyone out there on the track.
Too easy. Thank you. And of course, big shout out to all those that have been on watching and commenting as we've gone along. And on that note, we might wrap up our broadcast and see everybody again next week. Go and do a 250k kilometre classic race at Phillip Island. Big thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Yep, cheers, boys. Cheers, John. Look forward to seeing you all at Phillip Island.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. Some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name.